Hi everyone, my name is Erica. I am a gringa who has officially been living in Mexico for an entire year now. I wanted to sit down and just make a short little video of going over my last year. What do I think and what am I doing in Mexico? So let's get started. First off, full disclaimer, this is my first video and I'm realizing I am quite awful at speaking to the camera. And I'm also getting over this cold. So, full disclaimer. Let's get started. And how did I end up here in Mexico, you might ask? Well, it all started, well, long story short, I reconnected with a friend of mine that I had met traveling almost 5 years ago. And we ended up talking online for about a year. And last January, I decided to make the jump and move to Mexico. A big part of it was, though, that I had always wanted to learn Spanish. I grew up in a Mormon community, and we had so many returned missionaries come back who had served Spanish speaking missions. And I remember being a little girl in church thinking, wow, this is so cool that people can learn another language in less than 2 years. And I always felt inspired to learn Spanish. And especially, I grew up in Utah, as you might have guessed, because the Mormon community. Um, we have a huge Latino population, and I really wanted to be able to connect with people. So, yeah, last November, I found a Spanish school in Guadalajara, Mexico. Within 1 month, I decided to sell everything and pack up my bags, put the rest of I had 1 semester left in my bachelor's program, moved all my classes to online, and well, I said adios to my family and moved to Guadalajara, Jalisco. Now, Guadalajara, hang on, there's a train, we'll let it go. Fun fact, really quick, this train is La Bestia. It goes all the way from Central America all the way up to the border. And there's a lot of people who try to take this train up to the border. It is very dangerous. But there's actually a community called Las Patronas, and they pack up these meals and they throw them to these people on the train. There's some really crazy stories. It's quite sad and heartbreaking what people will risk just to start a new life in the U.S. But anyways, back to what I was saying. I moved to Guadalajara, and wow, that was an experience of itself. I think Guadalajara deserves its own video because it was not only one of the most beautiful towns, but also the most terrifying cities I have ever lived in, especially as a woman. Not sure if it's a place I would go back to visit alone, but if I was with my partner Jesus, absolutely, I would go back. But moving to Mexico has literally been the most eye-opening, incredible experience. And I'm so glad I did it. It's definitely had its challenges. I think this past year has proven to be one of the most exciting, terrifying, growth enhancing year of my life. I don't think I've smiled, laughed, and cried so much in 1 year. No one really prepares you for what it's like to pack up everything and move to a whole new country, a whole new culture, especially one where you don't speak the language. It's terrifying. There's been so many times there was. Now I'm in a lot better place, but there were so many times where I felt really alone and um, lost because it's so hard to connect with people from different cultures that fast. But now I think I'm starting to develop like friend groups and community, and it's really great. It's really cool, and I'm really excited for what this next year holds. One of the first things people ask me when I move to Mexico is, "How are you affording it? And what are you doing for work?" Well, I feel very blessed. I went to school and graduated in web design, And currently, I'm just doing some freelance work. I also occasionally teach English online, and I also sometimes have a spicy link. So you can say I'm a jack of all trades. I feel like trying to learn Spanish has completely slaughtered my English because now when I try to speak fluent English, it's been really hard. Um, but the truth is, my life here is very frugal. We live in a small town in Veracruz, and our overhead costs are very, very little. We rent a two-bedroom, two-bath apartment. It's absolutely beautiful, and we pay less than $300 a month. So in Mexico, that can seem like normal, but in comparison to what I was paying in the States, $300 is incredible. And I think that's what I really wanted when I moved to Mexico is I wanted a higher quality of life without having to work and slave away so much for it. When I was in Utah, I was paying about $1,300 a month in Salt Lake City for one bedroom, one bath. Um, and I was working a lot, studying a lot. I did have some free time, but it just felt like I was grinding constantly, and I felt exhausted and was on track to graduate and thought, no, there has to be more out there. With the way the world's going, I don't want to arrive to like 80 years old and think, why didn't I do it? I had all these opportunities and why didn't I do it? When I moved to Guadalajara, when I moved to Mexico, I actually wasn't working remote at all. I had saved up a couple $1,000s and just said, screw it, I'm gonna go. And it's so doable. If you are someone who is questioning moving to Mexico or moving to a country that has lower cost of living, just do it. Just jump into it. I promise it will be one of the craziest best experiences you've ever done. Excuse me, I'm dying. But I would say here in Veracruz where we are living, our overhead costs are definitely way under $1,000. That being said, my partner and I really do enjoy taking trips, driving around Mexico, especially seeing like little local towns or ruins. And uh, so we definitely splurge a lot in vacations, food, and also grocery stores. I love going to the grocery store. I mean, I love doing the same thing back home, but here, like, excuse me, like going to Walmart and like seeing all like imported product for me is like like a kid on Christmas. It's something so weird that the things that you miss from your culture once you move away, because now I'm like, oh, let's go to Costco and let's get like a piece of pizza, or yeah, let's like go to Walmart and buy some like American products. Um, so yeah, cost of living is very cheap here. And obviously, the cost of living is very subjective to the type of lifestyle you want to have. I have friends living in Guadalajara in Mexico City, and they are well paying over $1,000 a month. But they also have access to larger nightlife, more restaurants, more things to do in general. But where I'm living right now it is stunning. It's like this little Switzerland of Mexico. It's very safe. There's rolling hills. Well, not even hills, they're mountains. From our bedroom window, we can see Pico de Orizaba, which is the tallest volcano in North America. We've gone up there a couple times and we have plans to do the summit next month. And I'm so excited. I'm like trying to recover from this cold that I caught so I can go do the summit. But we really spend a lot of time outside, which leads me to the second part of this is that Mexico has so much to offer for people who enjoy the outdoor scene. Um, it really surprised me when I moved here. I had this thought that Mexico was like based in this like 1930s film, and everything was like dusty and dry, and then maybe you go to the beaches in Cancun or Cabo, and like that was the picture I had in my mind of Mexico for a long time. And what a shame, right? Because now that I've been living here a year, for a whole year, I've had the opportunity to explore so much in Jalisco, so much in Mexico City. My boyfriend's family is from El Estado de Mexico, the state of Mexico, and God, it's gorgeous. And especially where I'm at right now in Veracruz, I feel so lucky because the hiking, the mountains, the river rafting, there's so much to see. And yes, there is a thing with safety. Um, we haven't had any problems like hiking or in the mountains. In fact, the problems that I have faced with security have been in the cities, and not even ever in Veracruz, but in Guadalajara. Um, but it's always smart to go with groups. If you do decide to come to Mexico to travel or to live here, there's so many groups for senderismo or hiking or whatever. I think people are now starting to get more into it, and especially a lot of like young people in our community here. So that's been absolutely amazing. But let's go back to talking about safety in Mexico. This deserves its own video because um, I've had some crazy things happen to me here in Mexico. Where I'm living now, like I mentioned, I feel completely safe to leave and come as I please. There's no issue, but I think wherever you're at in Mexico as a woman, it's important to maintain a low profile. Um, Also, everyone here in my like little mi barrio, my like neighborhood knows me. Um, so it like makes it a lot easier to navigate. And yeah, I'm gonna make a whole other video about safety in Mexico because um, I've learned a couple of things. I learned a lot of things this past year, good and bad. And how was my Spanish 1 year later? Well, I would like to say that it's pretty good. Considering that last year when I came here, I spoke little to no Spanish. I had taken some classes in high school, but apart from like basic Spanish and counting some numbers, I had no idea what I was saying. And my partner and I had talked a whole year long distance, yeah. And the entire time we only spoke in English because he's freaking smart and speaks like four languages. But I told him like, "Hey, hi kitty. When I come to Mexico, I want you to only speak to me in Spanish." And that has been like the biggest thing is living with a Mexican and being forced to speak Spanish. He has been so patient and kind. There's been so many moments where I'll start speaking English and he'll be like, Erica, hay que hablar en español en esta casa. So
That thing. What do you call it?
Puente.
Puente.
that has really helped me. And also finding a good Spanish teacher. In Guadalajara, I found the most amazing Spanish teacher. I could not recommend her more. So if you guys need an amazing Spanish teacher, she does classes in person in Guadalajara, or she also does them online. Freaking amazing, like worth every single peso. I'm telling you. And now I would like consider myself conversationally fluent, although it still happens where I'll go to like a party or an event, and if there's like so much background noise or people are like yelling at each other, well, like yelling over each other, trying to talk to each other, or there's like a lot of kids excuse me, speaking with like slang, for me, I just feel like crickets where I'm like, what the heck is happening? And it's still so hard to like understand what everyone is saying. But apart from that, like if it's smaller gatherings, I can understand everything. I think I'm still getting over this like nervousness to talk because I think when you're learning a new language, you have to like almost translate what they say back into your native tongue and then translate back to like what you want to say. So I think I'm like still working with that. I actually really want to make like a vlog of me only speaking in Spanish or do like a sit down video with me and my partner. So please subscribe to my new channel if that's something that interests you because there's definitely more videos to come. I'm trying to put out a video every week this year. We'll see how it works. um, but yeah, and also this like a language, a learning language journey has really taught me so much respect for people who come to the States, especially, and try to learn or are wanting to learn English because English for me, I would much rather be who I am learning Spanish as a second language than English as a second language because our like there's like no really set I mean there's set rules, but it's kind of just like why do we say it like that? Well, because we do. Um so it's definitely taught me to be so much more patient and yeah, language is power, definitely. And the silliest thing too is like learning and studying Spanish has improved my memorization skills because now like when I read things or memorize things, like I retain so much more. I feel like there's new like I don't know, like new like connections being made. So that's really cool and it's really inspiring because now I just want to keep learning and hopefully like in the next couple of years I can be so fluent. Another thing though that I want to say about the Spanish is um like I've met so many people who have lived here for years and years, like more than half of their lives, but they still have like a very big accent from wherever they're from, like the US or Europe or wherever. And I think that's something I used to beat myself up about, like, oh, but I'm always gonna have like this slight accent. Uh, and then I thought about it and I was like, there's doctors that I've seen who speak perfect English, but they still have like a Pakistani accent, for example. Like one of my main practitioners is from Pakistan. Um, and yeah, I think that's something not to beat yourself up like up on. You can do it. Sí se puede. Sí se puede. But anyways, guys, um, that is going to conclude my first video because I'm still getting over this stupid cold. It's literally been like 3 weeks with this cough, and I've tried everything. Finally, I'm starting to feel better, but the more I talk, the more my voice just goes. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please follow me on TikTok and Instagram if you want to see more. I'm also starting a little vlog. I'm going to start vlogs and also start writing blogs. So if it interests you at all, please follow me. I would love the support. I mainly want to start this channel and start putting content out to help people who wonder what the life is like in Mexico. I know before I came here, I had so many questions on what is it like here and what to expect. And a year later, I think I have some really cool insights. And, anyways,